Welcome to the Ethereal Enigma demo. For those unaware, this is the next full game project from Pixel Fade, the group that brought you Ace Academy, including the Kaori After Story, and Crystalline. So this is currently on Kickstarter. This is a little bit different from Crystalline. It's still going to have the live 2D from what I saw. The thing that's different is there are two romanceable routes, and you'll kind of see what I mean as we go. So without further ado, let's hit start game. First name. Hate it when it does that. Hero. Light. Good enough. I awaken to the sound of shuffling. My mind feels fuzzy, still floating somewhere between dreams and reality. And here's my least favorite voice in all of their games to date. What? Someone pulls back the curtains, blinding me with a blast of serene sunlight. Takes a moment for my vision to adjust before I recognize my room. With a groan, I squint to see my cousin Minami. Of course she'd be the one waking me up. The two of us grew up together, and they are more like siblings than extended family. She's always been an early bird, and I still don't understand how she's so energetic every morning. In case you're wondering, she is not one of the two romance routes. Her grin is wide and bright.
Today's the first day of school. Come on, time to get up.
No. I groan, rolling away from her. 10 more minutes. Something soft whacks the back of my head. Hey. I roll around to see Mina brandishing one of my pillows. She grins devilishly.
I don't think so, lazy bones. You'll be late if you fall back asleep.
I'm too exhausted to think of anything witty to say. Why does school have to be so early? My eyes begin to flutter shut again, but with a soft whack to my face reawakens me. Really?
Come on, it's time to get up.
She playfully swings the pillow on my shoulder.
You're gonna miss breakfast.
She hits me again and again. I try swatting the pillow away, but to no avail. She is merciless. Reluctantly, I admit defeat. Okay. She swings the pillow just as I scramble out of bed. I manage to snatch it out of her hands. I'm up. Geez, could you have found a gentler way to wake me? She grins.
I could have, but would it have been as effective?
I open my mouth to argue, but stop myself. She's not wrong. Mina puts her hands on her hips, obviously proud of herself.
That's what I thought. Meet you downstairs.
She walks out of my room, clearly feeling smug. I scrub my hand down my face, yawning. I think that's supposed to be rub, maybe? I don't know. I need to hustle if I want to make it in time for breakfast. I quickly get dressed, then run to the bathroom to brush my teeth and tidy up my hair. Every step of the way, I feel like a zombie. Rubbing my eyes, I try to ignore the exhaustion rippling through me. When I make it downstairs, I'm greeted by the sweet smell of fresh bread.
Good morning, sweetie.
Aunt Emiko beams at me. She's already dressed for work, her hair pulled up into a messy bun. Mina sits across from her, chewing on some toast.
Breakfast is on the table.
She gestures to a plate with homemade bread and jam.
Your uncle baked it himself for your first day. I hope you like it.
I grin. Thank you, Aunt Emiko. This smells delicious.
Of course. Well, I better go help your uncle at the bakery. You know how people need their enfant before work. Have a great first day, you two.
I don't know what type of bread this is, but it's some sort of jelly-filled bread. Could be bean paste. I don't know. One of the perks of having an aunt and uncle who own a bakery is I get to eat delicious bread and pastries 24/7. Normally Mom and Dad would greet me in the morning too, but they've left again for one of their business trips. Although they travel frequently, I've never been lonely. Having my aunt, uncle, and Mina in the house keeps the place lively. After we finish eating, Mina and I grab our book bags. Do you have everything?
Yep.
Cool, let's get going. I swing the door open and we begin our trek to school. The town is already bustling to life with people going to her school or work. A nice breeze tussles my hair and cools my skin. I feel a vibration in my pocket. Taking out my phone, I notice a message from my mom. Good luck on your first day of school, honey. Wish we could be there to send you off. A moment later, a text from my dad follows. Have a good day at school, son. I know you'll do great. Don't forget to look after your cousin. A smile spreads across my face. Even though it's late where they are, my parents haven't forgotten to check in with me. I quickly respond to them with a thank you text. Mina has a silly smile on her face. My parents must have texted her too. What did my parents text you? She hugs her phone to her chest.
Not telling.
As we walk further, my aunt and uncle's bakery comes into view. A cluster of junior high students pause by the entrance. Mina's face brightens.
Aw, look at them. They're so cute. It seems like just yesterday we were starting junior high.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we're finally freshmen. Mina nods in agreement. We're only 2 days apart, so Mina and I have always been in the same grade. Mom and Emiko like to joke that there must have been something in the water. I overhear one of the students talking about swimming. Mina used to swim in junior high. I wonder if she wants to continue it. Are you planning to try out for the swim team this year too?
You bet.
Are you nervous? She shrugs, then flashes me a sly smile.
You'll come to all of my competitions, right?
Why is there no option? Screw it. I would never miss a chance to see all the breaststrokes. I chuckle, shifting my bag over my shoulder. Have I ever missed one of your competitions? Mina thinks about it.
Actually, now that you mention it, you haven't.
So that means you're overdue. Of course not. That's because I'm such a supportive cousin. In fact, I don't only support you, but all the ladies and all of their strokes. She arches an eyebrow.
Strokes?
I nod and begin listing them on my fingers. You know, back, butterfly, and my personal favorite, breast. She shakes her head as a palm goes up to her face.
I should have known better.
What?
I changed my mind. You don't have to come anymore.
Woohoo, we're off the hook! Mina suddenly stops, digging into her backpack. What are you looking for?
My water bottle. All this talking is making me thirsty.
Surprise washes over her face.
Oh no, it's not here. Wait for me, okay?
It's just a water... She darts off the way we came. Bottle. I sigh, leaning against the side of the building. At least Mina discovered it sooner rather than later. Knowing her, there was an equally good chance we'd have reached school before she'd have noticed.
Hey!
Someone calls out to me, interrupting my thoughts. I blink, recognizing the voice. So this is your best friend character? Kosei struts up to meet me. He and I have been best friends since the 6th grade. We met when playing sports together, and we've been inseparable ever since. His humor makes him fun to be around, and his competitive spirit keeps things interesting. Today, Kosei's hair is even more styled and well-kept than usual. He's just as upbeat and confident as I remember. A few girls glance at him as they pass by. He catches their eyes and puffs out his chest, sauntering up the sidewalk. The girls stifle their giggles, which only encourages him. Kosei grins, carting his fingers dramatically through his hair. It looks so ridiculous that the girls finally start laughing, turning to whisper to each other. He grins from ear to ear and claps me on the back.
Hey man, how's it going?
Good, you?
Great, obviously. Didn't you see how those girls were checking me out?
The truth may be painful, but he needs to hear it. The truth may be painful, but he needs to hear it. No, Kosei, they were not interested.
What are you talking about?
They were laughing at you. You overdid it. He shakes his head and waves his hand.
Nah, no way.
No, really, they were walking away from you. Kosei laughs.
They were clearly into me. Just wait until we arrive at school. Same thing will happen all over again.
He grins and puffs on his chest. I'm sure it will happen again, but just not in the way Kosei's thinking. Uh-huh. He turns to face me.
Nina didn't come with you today? That's highly unusual.
She did, but she had to go get something. Kosei scoffs.
Typical. It's finally the first day of high school and she's still unprepared. Speaking of school, what are you looking forward to this year?
School's for chumps, chump. I'm looking forward to being home again as soon as possible. Kosei laughs.
Oh, come on. You're not even a little excited?
Nope. Kosei grins.
Well, I am.
Hi, I'm back.
We turn at the same time. Mina shifts her bag over her shoulder, out of breath and flushed from running. A slow, knowing smile spreads across Kosei's face.
And where were you?
Oh, I just had to grab something really quickly.
His grin broadens.
Why? Because you forgot something?
What? No.
Liar. You totally did.
Mina huffs, feigning indifference.
So what if I did? Don't be so nosy.
Kosei sighs.
Scatterbrained and it's only the first day. You'd probably forget your head if it wasn't attached to you.
She scoffs.
You only wish you could be scatterbrained.
Why would I wish that?
Because you need a brain in the first place for it to be scattered?
Kosei sputters.
What? Hey!
He crosses his arms.
Whatever. I'm just saying, unlike you, I take the first day of high school seriously.
She chuckles, rolling her eyes.
Whatever you say, Gary Oak.
He chokes.
What did you call me?
She lifts an eyebrow, smirk broadening into a grin.
How long did it take you to gel your hair like that?
I don't know what you're talking about. My hair is always this perfect.
Uh-huh. So you just happened to wake up looking like the Lockblade Master from Domain of Hearts?
He grins, flicking his bangs out of his eyes.
Yes, I always wake up looking this good.
Do you even hear yourself? You're such a narcissist.
Wow, just look at this old couple. I laugh. You guys bicker like you're married. That freezes both of them in their tracks.
What did you say?
Excuse me?
I raise my eyebrows, amused. Did I stutter? Mina's face scrunches up, but her cheeks flush a light shade of pink.
Yeah, right. Me? Married to him?
Kosei chuckles, crossing his arms.
Yeah, in her dreams.
More like in yours.
I chuckle again. Let's just get going. Soon we come across other students walking in our direction. They wear the same high school uniforms as us, chatting familiarly amongst each other. Finally, I see the building take shape beyond a hill. We pause in front of the school. The neutral, sleek building reminds me of our junior high, but there's a different feeling in the air today. Crossing through these gates for the first time feels almost reverent, as if it's a rite of passage. Kosei claps me on the back, wearing a look of happy determination.
Here we are. The moment we've been preparing for. The next step we take will officially start our high school lives.
He turns to me wearing a wide grin.
Are you ready?
It's just school. I shrug. I guess so. I don't know what Kosei is so excited about. High school is still just school. As I'm about to step through the gates, he stops me.
Wait! One does not simply walk into high school on their first day.
How else am I supposed to get through?
You have to go through with confidence. That's how we're gonna live our high school life. Confidently.
I prefer indifference. You're taking this way too seriously.
Yeah, it's just school.
Exactly.
That's the wrong attitude to have, you guys. You'll jinx yourself if you're not careful. Hey!
Mina pushes Kosei through the gates and laughs as he stumbles.
Mina! Are you trying to ruin me?
I'm not ruining anything. You're the one being overdramatic.
I am not dramatic. This is literally the most important day of our lives.
I follow them through the gates, listening to their usual bickering. Feels like a regular school day to me. We cross into the courtyard, which is abuzz with laughter and chatter. The excitement in the air is infectious, and I feel my mood lift with each new face I see. Kosei wears a broad grin as he drinks in the energy. He nods.
Yep, this year's definitely gonna be great. I can feel it.
Mina snorts, but Kosei ignores her.
I've already got big plans.
What plans?
Well, I'm going to join a sports club. I'm not sure which one yet, but if I prove myself, I might even make it to be captain of the team.
You don't even know which club you want to join, but you're already planning on being captain?
Yes, you gotta aim big, Mina.
I grin. Kosei has a knack for finding competition in everything.
And that's why this year, I'm finally gonna get a girlfriend.
Mina bursts out laughing.
Maybe in your dreams, because that's the only place you'll find a girl who's willing to put up with you.
Kosei waves a dismissive hand towards her.
You'll see, Mina. This is the year it's gonna happen. I can just feel it.
He throws an arm around my neck, pulling me in with a big grin.
It'll happen before this guy gets one, too.
I scoff.
Hmm.
Mina pauses, looking back and forth between the two of us.
I'm not sure which one of you two is more clueless about women, since you're both single.
That would have a real funny one. I'm still waiting for the one. I'm saving myself for my soulmate. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I really want to find someone who I can connect with on a deeper level. That means it take a little longer before I find her, then I'm willing to wait. Mina smiles at me.
That's so noble of you.
Kosei grins.
Same here. I'm just speeding up the process by looking for her.
Mina doesn't seem convinced.
That's not how it works.
As if you would know. You've never had a boyfriend.
She crosses her arms and looks away.
So, maybe I don't want one.
Or maybe it's because you act too much like a boy.
Or her voice. Huh? Her face flushes.
I do not act like a boy.
You don't exactly act like a lady either.
How?
Well, your yelling right now isn't very ladylike.
Mina lets out a groan of frustration.
I wouldn't have have to yell if you acted more like a gentleman.
I'd act more like a gentleman if there was a lady present.
Not again. Tuning out their squabble, I take a look around. My gaze is drawn to a girl I've never seen before. Who is that? That is one of the romance options. Her uniform looks a little disheveled, as if she threw it on without a care. She has a long raven hair that falls partly in front of her face. As she brushes it away, I notice that her features are strikingly exotic and foreign. She's like no one I've ever seen before, and I can't tear my gaze away. Pulling on Kosei's sleeve, I interrupt his argument with Mina. Do you see that girl? Who is that?
Who?
He glances wildly around. Her. I direct his attention toward the main doors, but she's gone.
It's a little too early to be imagining girls.
I swear I saw someone. Mina and Kosei share a look, then shrug.
Whatever you say, my man. Anyway, you've got all year to find her.
Students, both new and old, begin filing into the building. We should get to class soon. Which one are you guys in? There's a large board in the schoolyard which lists all the students. We stop by and take a look.
We're all in the same class. This should be fun.
Back in junior high, I had a class with Kosei one year and one with Mina the next year. Then Kosei and Mina shared a class in the final year.
Like I keep saying, I have a good feeling about this.
I grin, having both of them in class with me will be great. Together we enter the school. The hallways are just as full of students as the courtyard was, especially as more file in. Checking the labels above the doors, our classroom is towards the end of the hall. I'm jostled against the lockers a few times as some students push by in a hurry. We still have some time. Those must be the kids who like to get to class extra early. Finally, we find our homeroom. Most of the students have already arrived and grouped up in bunches. We find a section in the back of the room with 3 open desks and take a seat. To my surprise, that same raven-haired girl enters the room. She sits in the nearest open seat, which happens to be next to Kosei. I catch Kosei and Mina's attention. Look, it's her, the girl I was talking about. Kosei's eyes widen and he lets out a low, appreciative breath.
I can see why you were trying to point her out to us.
Ah, I guess she wasn't imaginary after all.
Suddenly, the girl looks in our direction. Both Kosei and Mina immediately look away. Assert dominance. It's too late. She knows we've been staring now. The best way to handle this is to double down and stand by my decision. Unashamed, I lock gaze with her. We continue to stare at each other in an impromptu contest. Then she leans slightly away as if trying to look behind me. Oh. Finally, she looks back towards the front of the room. Wait, so she was actually just looking behind me? I shake my head. What am I thinking? Of course she wasn't. That's just her playing hard to get. Soon the teacher enters the classroom, motions for us to take our seats. Chairs scrape across the floor as the students settle in.
Good morning, everyone. I am Misato, and I will be your homeroom teacher for this year. I'm looking forward to teaching everyone. Let's get started with attendance.
Roll call goes smoothly as everyone who's on the list is present. Miss Sato introduces the first subject, officially starting our first class of the day. So, real quick, I have to call this out. They used the term anpan earlier, which would only... Well, you'd have to Google it most likely, unless you're like a really hardcore anime fan or someone who natively knows Japanese. And they're not referring to the teacher as sensei, which is kind of odd. Like, I'd expect consistency. Either ditch the anpan or keep the honorifics to a degree. Anyway, most of the time is spent going over the syllabus and teacher expectations, which isn't a surprise. First days are normally like this. Tomorrow's when we'll dive into the actual content. Finally, Misato concludes the lesson. We have a few minutes break before the next class starts, and everyone's taking full advantage. The groups have reformed, but the whispers snaking around the room are all about the dark-haired girl. I overhear 2 students talking beside me.
Hey, you see that girl over there? That's Kira Igarashi.
The second student's eyes widen.
Igarashi? Seriously? How do you know?
How do you not know? I heard she moved here over the summer.
You don't say.
He glances back over at Kira, his renewed interest evident in his tone. The first student laughs, cuffing his friend on the ear.
Don't think too much about it. As if she'd be interested in you.
She's single, isn't she? She could be.
I tune them out as a few more outgoing girls stop by Kira's desk to introduce themselves. She politely receives them but seems uninterested in furthering the conversation. They quickly depart and Kira keeps to herself doodling in a notebook. The whispers only intensify from her aloofness. Kosei hops out of his seat and sits on Mina's desk. He gestures for me to come closer, so I do, lean on the desk with him.
What do you think of her?
He gestures towards Kira. Mina glances curiously over to her. I hope she's romanceable. Finally, there's a girl I really like. I hope she's someone I can pursue. I was hoping he'd keep the game terminology. Kosei gives me a knowing grin.
Is that you trying to lay claim to her?
Well, is she already interested in someone else?
You just got here.
Or too young?
Pretty sure we're all the same age.
Or related to me?
What?
I'm just covering all my bases so no one can tell me that this top-tier waifu is non-romanceable. Kosei just stares at me.
Dude, what are you even saying?
Nothing. But seriously, she's all everyone is talking about.
Oh, she is an Igarashi.
Do you think she's related to the tech conglomerate Igarashi? Everyone knows the Igarashi name and brand, along with major companies like Sunsang. Their software and electronics dominate the industry. He shrugs.
It's not exactly a common name. Have you ever met an Igarashi who wasn't related to them?
Counting the Castlevania guy? He pauses, furrowing his brows.
Or any Igarashi for that matter.
He's not wrong. I have never met an Igarashi before. I shoot another glance her way. Kira continues to be focused on her notebook. Wonder how she feels about all the attention. Kosei looks at Mina.
I'm kinda surprised you haven't already gone over to introduce yourself.
She already looks uncomfortable. Why would I pile even more attention on her?
Because she's a cute, single girl.
Mina raises a brow.
And that's relevant to me how?
It's relevant to every single guy in here.
I'm not a guy.
Kosei gives Mina a once-over.
Could've fooled me.
Oh wow, how clever. How long were you waiting to use that one?
Thankfully, the next instructor enters the classroom before they can continue bickering. We all quiet down. Kosei and I return to our seats, as do the other students. Once we're all seated, the teacher begins the next lesson. The midday bell chimes, announcing our lunch hour. Conversations break out across the room as students take out their meals and sit with their friends. Mina, Kosei, and I group our desks together. I open my bento and this delicious scent of udon fills the air. Kosei perks up.
Hey, that looks so good. Did your aunt make it?
Yep.
Your aunt is the best cook, I swear. May I?
Sure. That doesn't sound like me at all. I scoot my bowl closer to him and Kosei takes a big bite. His eyes light up.
Oh man, it's so good.
He then glances at Mina's neatly prepared bento of yakisoba and vegetables.
That looks good too.
A smug smile spreads across Mina's face.
Do you want to try it?
I thought you'd never ask.
Kosei takes another big bite and sighs contentedly.
If I could eat like this every day, I'd be so happy.
Do you like it?
He reaches over to steal more food.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Why, thank you.
Kosei stares at Mina, his chopsticks still in midair.
Why are you thanking me?
Because I made this delicious lunch that you enjoy so much.
You made this?
Yeah?
She beams proudly as Kosei looks back and forth between the food and Mina.
It's not just edible. It's tasty.
That's the point.
You tricked me.
I continue eating as my gaze flicks back and forth between the pair. Kosei puts down his chopsticks and waits.
What are you doing?
I'm waiting for the inevitable food poisoning to happen.
She crosses her arms.
Really?
Finally, Kosei relaxes.
Still alive. In that case,
He picks his chopsticks back up and attempts to steal more of Mina's lunch, but she blocks him.
You can't insult it and then go for more.
I shake my head and dive back into my udon. After a small lull in the conversation, Kosei perks up again.
oh, hey, did I tell you guys I got a new job?
Really? That's wonderful. Where is it?
He crosses his arms and grins.
At the new arcade.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
He chuckles and leans back in his chair.
I'm finally saying goodbye to the simple life of a ramen shop assistant. Trust me, my new gig is incredible. The stuff I get to work with is top notch.
He must be talking about the games. I bet there's some really cool ones. Mina lights up.
That's amazing. We're gonna have to visit you sometime.
You should.
I'm happy for you, man.
Thanks.
I know Kosei wasn't thrilled with his old job at the ramen shop. Happy to see him moving on to something he'll enjoy.
How's it working at the bakery?
Gotta make that dough. I flash him a grin. I need to make money somehow. Kosei snickers.
It's better than just loafing around.
Mina laughs.
Yeah, we're just, rolling out dough.
Kosei and I both stare at her.
What?
You mean rolling in dough? She falters.
No, you know, like when you roll the dough.
We both stare at her. She crosses her arms.
Whatever. Your puns were lame anyway.
Our conversation meanders into more trivial things, and before we know it, lunch is over. We put our stuff away and return our desks to their original position. After everyone has settled down, the teacher begins class. The rest of the day goes by faster than I anticipated, and our first day of school is over. I sling my bag over my shoulder and follow Mina and Kosei out of the classroom.
Hey, do you guys want to hang out somewhere?
Sorry, I can't. I promised a friend we'd meet up after class. Don't have too much fun without me.
Don't worry, we will.
Ignoring his last comment, Mina walks away. Kosei looks over to me and shrugs.
Well, looks like it's just you and me today. Want to practice soccer in the quad?
It's been a while since the two of us last played a scrimmage. We initially bonded over soccer as Kosei has a natural talent for it. He was good enough to join the junior high team, but never did. I'd be down for that. Let's go. The two of us make our way down to the open field behind the school. It's empty except for the scattering of students milling about. There is a nice cool breeze, making it excellent weather to practice. Why the sudden interest in soccer? Kosei picks up a soccer ball from a nearby rack.
Now that I've got my new job, I was thinking about joining the soccer club.
That's a great idea. It's too bad you couldn't join the team in junior high.
Yeah, I have the means now, but not the practice.
This new job must afford him more time for club activities. His old job was really demanding and took up a lot of his schedule, and when he wasn't working, he was babysitting his siblings. Kosei heads straight for a goal and positions himself in the middle, then tosses me the ball. I grin, catching it. Goalie was the position Kosei always played. You ready?
Yeah, kick some at me.
I nod and snap a fast kick toward the net. Ball goes flying, but Kosei blocks it with his chest. Flashes me a cocky grin as he throws the ball back.
No challenge, just like I remember.
This time I aim the kick higher. He catches it easily in both hands and laughs.
Are you even trying?
Determination flares through my veins. I feint a kick to one side of the net before sending it in the opposite direction. Kosei doesn't fall for my feint. He blocks the shot with his head, sending the ball sailing.
Haha, amateur trick. You can't fake me out that easily. And don't call me Kosei the Wall Nakahara for nothing.
Nobody calls you that.
Sure they do. Don't be hating because you never got a nickname.
I grit my teeth as I collect the ball. The next shot will definitely score. Kosei squares up ready for my kick. I line up my shot and aim for the far right corner of the goal. The ball soars in the air, reaching high towards the net. Like a flash of lightning, Kosei darts to the right. Leaping up, his outstretched hand bats the ball away.
Oh!
He cheers and breaks into a victory dance.
And the crowd goes wild!
Scooping up the forgotten ball, I kick it hard while Kosei is still celebrating. His eyes widen and he lunges, but it's too late. The ball flies straight into the net. Goal! He crosses his arms.
Hey man, no fair!
I shrug. That's what happens when you're too busy dancing during the play. He sighs and runs a hand through his hair.
Fair enough.
Kosei kicks the ball back to me and we continue to practice. After a few hours, we make our way to the bleachers and sit down. Kosei takes a long drink from his water bottle.
Hey, thanks for practicing with me today.
No problem. For someone claiming to be out of practice, you still delivered on the field. He grins. Keep that up and you'll be part of the club in no time. Maybe you can even try out as a starter afterwards. You're good enough to make it.
Thanks, man.
He claps a hand on my shoulder.
I really appreciate it. Seriously, don't hesitate to come to me if you need any help this year. We bros need to stick together, right?
I nod, a genuine smile lifting my face. For a moment, we just grin at each other until we realize we're staring into each other's eyes. Time to go. Nope, that's enough feels for one day. I leap to my feet. I'm ready to go home. How about you? Kosei suddenly blinks.
Wow, I didn't realize how late it is.
I look around at the waning light. We were so busy focused on practicing that we didn't notice time fly by.
I've got to get home. I haven't even started my homework.
Yeah, me too. After we've both packed, Kose waves and then walks off. I squint watching the sun dip below the treetops. Found hurry, I'll lose the last rays of light. As I head off the field, I decide to take a different route home. Cutting through the shrine is supposed to be a shortcut through the neighborhoods. Given it's already so late in the day, I should try it. I make good time, and it's not long before I see the shrine. The groundskeepers rhythmically sweep the gate, bowing to me as I pass through. The place is surprisingly empty, with the exception of an elderly woman in front of the offering box. She turns around and a few notes of cash drop out of her pocket. Scooping up the cash, I rush over to the old woman. Excuse me, I think you dropped this.
Oh, thank you, young man.
No problem. She gratefully accepts the money, returning it to her pocket.
Not everyone would have returned this to its rightful owner. Some may have kept it for themselves.
I don't have an explanation for why I returned it. I just went with my gut feeling.
Those are excellent instincts.
She offers me a wrinkled smile.
You're a good man.
Thank you, but I just did what anyone should. Since that's now taken care of, I should be heading back. I won't continue to disturb you. Have a good night.
Wait, don't be so hasty.
She gives me a look. For some reason, a shiver runs down my spine.
The evening is young, and the ethereal energy dances among us. If you make an offering at the shrine tonight, your prayer may just be answered.
Okay, thanks. Ethereal energy. It's not a thing. Besides, everyone comes to the shrine to pray, hoping that their wishes come true.
Astral continuum aligns. Your timing tonight is no mere coincidence. There may yet be a prophetic purpose for your arrival.
Well, this conversation took a turn for the strange. I'm not sure about all of that. I'm just taking a shortcut to get home.
Ah, but you don't normally take this path, do you?
I pause. How does she know? Must be a lucky guess. My pause is enough to grant another crinkled grin.
Exactly. Feel the energy and look into the ether. Let not this opportunity go to waste.
A rustling sound distracts me and I look back towards the gate. A distorted howl follows. What was that? Another shiver runs down my spine. Was that ethereal nonsense real? After a moment, a small dog runs out. I let out the breath I'd been holding. Of course not. When I turn back to the old woman, she's gone. Where'd she go? Scanning around me, I remain alone. Even the groundskeepers have disappeared. That's not ominous at all. Maybe there is something mysterious going on tonight. Shaking my head, I scoff. What am I saying? There's nothing special about today. I just happened to run into an old lady who's probably going senile. That's all. And yet my gaze is drawn back to the offering box. Is it possible that my wish could come true? Ethereal energy? What an enigmatic idea! Of course wishes don't come true, but there's only one way to prove that this is merely the ramblings of a crazy person. I walk towards the offering box and drop in a coin. It's fake. I bow and clap my hands, keeping them pressed together. Then I close my eyes. Time to wish for something completely ridiculous and outlandish. Let's see if the ethereal energy is ready for this. This all feels insane anyway. Seriously? Didn't Ah My Goddess do this back in the 80s? I wish for a rich, beautiful princess to fall out of the sky. I hold my breath in anticipation, peeking my eyes open. Nothing happens. Of course nothing happened. This is proof that the woman was just spouting nonsense. Maybe she was lonely and looking for someone to talk to. Either way, there's no reason for me to stay any longer. As I step away from the offering box, I can't help but look around again. Part of me hopes that she'll reappear and I can tell her that it didn't happen just as I predicted. Still, I laugh. What a funny idea. A fast whooshing sound interrupts my thoughts. Strange. What could that be? I look up at the sky just in time for something to knock me flat on my back. My vision goes hazy as my head hits the ground. What just happened? I groan, trying to move my limbs. Feels like there's something holding me down. Gingerly, I blink my eyes open. And here's the other romance option. As the area refocuses into view, there's a girl with long, light blonde hair sitting on top of me. Her clothes are unlike anything I recognize, remind me of a fantasy character. Her eyes are squeezed shut as she yelps. Blinking, she looks around her, carefully taking in the shrine. Suddenly, she freezes. Her hands press down on my chest. She furrows her brows before her gaze meets my own. In a flash, her eyes narrow in anger.
What do you think you're doing?
So if you don't recognize her voice actress, she was the Shadow Elemental from Crystalline. That's Kira Buckland. I don't know who the other voices are, really. I don't even know if they've been in anything. I like a girl who takes charge. This was not how I envisioned my evening would go, but I can't say I'm not enjoying it. Her legs straddle my torso as her hands rest on my chest. This is a girl who knows exactly what she wants. Falling on me was a bit extreme, she'll need to ask. But I certainly won't stand in the way for getting what she wants. Whatever you like.
What I'd like is an explanation at once. Who are you? What do you want with me?
She glances down at herself again.
And why have you put me in such a compromising position?
You put yourself in that position.
I most certainly did not.
There's nothing keeping you on top of me, and you haven't even attempted to move. She blinks, quickly untangling herself from me. Carefully, she gets back to her feet. Stifling a groan, I slowly get up as well. My back and head throb from the fall. Why did you fall on me? She balks.
The better question is, why did you summon me?
I don't even know who you are. She holds her head up, hooking one hand on her hip.
You are in the presence of Princess Erilyn Dawn, Duchess of Velenor, third heiress of Veldin.
So I'm trying to remember, these aren't places in Crystalline, if I remember correctly, even though she has the last name, if you notice. Do all of the crazies come to the shrine? First the old woman and now this girl. Is this where all the crazy people come to hang out? Okay. Well, maybe you'll find an old lady who's apparently in tune with the ethereals, and the two of you can go back to Veldin together. Erilyn blinks.
Go back? Aren't I still in Veldin?
Definitely not.
Where am I?
You're in Japan.
Japan? I've been kidnapped by a Japanite commoner?
Japanese, but more importantly, this is not a kidnapping. Her eyes momentarily widen again before her scowl returns.
Then return me home at once.
I can't.
You must.
I don't know how you got here in the first place, and I definitely don't know how to get you back. She sighs.
Well, if you won't do it, then I'll have to do it myself. Now, where is my scepter?
Once again, she glances around herself, her eyes widen in panic.
My scepter! Where is it?
Maybe you left it back at the palace, Your Highness. Her eyes flash again.
It never leaves my side.
Jeez, I didn't realize the scepter was so important. I always thought of it as a symbol of power, not something used outside of ceremonies. After coming through the immediate vicinity, she ends up empty-handed.
Clearly my scepter is not here. Just use your cast to send me back.
What does that even mean? Besides, I still wouldn't know back to where.
Are you not listening? I am Princess Erilyn Dawn, Duchess of Velenor, third heiress of...
Repeating it doesn't help if I have no idea what you're saying.
You cannot dismiss Veldin simply because of your ignorance.
She keeps mentioning Veldin as if it's real. Could she really be from an entirely different place? How was she transported here? Was it really my wish? Can't wrap my head around all the questions I have. I don't know what's going on, but all this weird stuff happened right after I talked to that old woman. We need to go find her.
Stop making excuses. There's no one here.
Is this one of those prank shows? Someone's gonna jump out and be like, aha! We got you for making such a wild wish asking for a princess.
So you did invoke black arts to transport me here. I knew it! A Japanite kidnapper after all.
I'm not a kidnapper, and I didn't do black magic. I didn't think my wish would actually come true. She crosses her arms.
It's clearly your fault I've been summoned here, which means it's your responsibility to get me back home.
Okay, I'll just do what I did before.
Finally.
Here we go. I wish you would return home. Nothing happens. Well, I tried.
That's it? Do it properly like you did the first time.
I don't even know how it happened the first time.
Just try.
Fine. I close my eyes and think with all my might. Beads of sweat line my brow, but nothing happens. I open my eyes and frown. Erilyn crosses her arms, a concerned look on her face.
You didn't do this intentionally? You really don't know what happened?
I nod.
Well, then I suppose I can navigate.
She looks around her but seems lost. Her confident expression wavers for a moment and I catch a look of fear and uncertainty in her eyes. Everything must seem so unfamiliar to her. I understand this is an unfortunate situation, but there's nothing I can do to send her back.
Then my first order of business will be to establish lodging for the night.
Good luck with that. She looks around again.
Does this place have any rooms?
No. I guess I'm being unfair. It's not her fault that she's stuck here in an unknown place, and no one else would believe her if she told them what happened. I should help her. You can stay with me and my family while we figure this out. She hesitates. Don't worry, my aunt, uncle, and cousin will understand. Finally, she nods.
I suppose that will do while there is no alternative option present.
The sky is already dark by the time we set off down the path towards home. So much for taking a shortcut. Since we'll be together for at least a day, you can call me Hero.
You may address me as Princess Erilyn Dawn, Duchess of Eleanor, 3rd heiress of Veldon.
She didn't actually say the Vel part there, at least I didn't hear it. I'm going to stick to Erilyn.
You dare not even address me by my title of princess?
Yeah, about that. There are a few things we need to go over. The first thing is that you can't go around declaring yourself a princess.
I can't help my birthright.
Yeah, but people will think you're crazy.
Do Japanites not know what a princess is?
Japanese, and of course we do.
Then I fail to see the problem.
We don't have princesses in Japan.
So, I'm not claiming to be from Japan.
I sigh. On second thought, I'll do all the talking. She shoots me a look, then resumes her arrogant expression.
Perhaps that's best. Clearly there is a communication barrier between royalty and commoners.
Why was I helping her again? Let's just get going before it gets too dark. We fall silent as I lead us home. Erilyn continually surveys her surroundings, her expression softening into curiosity. As we near the house, my steps start to slow. What am I going to tell my family? I need to come up with a story for why Erilyn needs to stay with us. I'll tell everyone she's a foreigner since there's no way she can pass for Japanese. Maybe she's a new foreign exchange student? Although that wouldn't explain why she has to live in our home. Thinking hard, I have a vague memory of an international student from a few years ago who stayed in our neighbor's house. It was a program to help them become immersed in the culture. The homestay program. That'll do. Feeling more confident about the situation, I pause in front of the door and turn to Erilyn. Remember, don't say anything. Let me do the talking. I don't give her a chance to reply before opening the door and entering the house. Aunt Emiko, Uncle Hajime, and Mina are together in the living room. Upon my entry, Mina is the first one to greet me.
Finally! Weren't you just hanging out with Kosei? What took you so long?
Sorry, I just came back from the, airport. Mina freezes when she notices Erilyn.
Is that a girl? Mother? Father? You see this, right? I'm not going crazy?
Aunt Emiko and Uncle Hajime look over curiously.
No, sweetie. We see her too.
Mina squints.
Okay, good. I thought I was going crazy because not only is there a pretty girl here, but those clothes are really unique. This attire happens to be my...
Cosplay outfit. Erilyn stares blankly at me. I motion for her to just go along with it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mina takes another look, clearly impressed.
Did she make that outfit herself? The level of detail and craftsmanship is impressive. The material looks so high quality, too.
Erilyn grins, smoothing out her dress.
How very kind of you to notice. It was woven from the finest silks by the palace seamstresses. Palace?
Yeah, her cosplay character's a princess. She's very dedicated. Uncle Hajime clears his throat.
Ah, how lovely. Does your friend have a name?
No. Erilyn opens her mouth, but I interrupt before she can speak. This is Erilyn. She glares at me, which I ignore. She's a part of the homestay program and just arrived. Mina furrows her brow.
You mean that program our neighbors did? Isn't she supposed to be staying with them?
No, she'll be staying with us. Dad signed us up for the program before school started. Didn't he tell you?
No.
Aunt Emiko looks towards Uncle Hajime, who shakes his head.
I didn't hear about this either.
I try to play it off as no big deal, even though I'm sure they can hear the hammering in my chest. He must have forgotten to tell you. You know how they are, always forgetting things. Remember that time Dad almost left without his luggage? Uncle Hajime chuckles.
That definitely sounds like your father. The amount of times he was keys.
Aunt Emiko nods.
It's because they're on the road so often. Having to keep track of everything can be tough.
And just think of how many times he left me at the airport. He said it was a mistake, right? Seems like things are going well so far. So, Erilyn can stay, right?
Yes, of course.
She turns towards Erilyn and offers her a warm smile.
Welcome to our home.
Ireland is such a unique name. Where are you from?
I am from Belden.
Well then.
Sweden is what I think she meant to say. Thick accent.
Oh, of course. I'm sure Erilyn must be tired after such a long flight. Why don't we show her to the spare bedroom so she can rest?
Yes, we'll have plenty of time for questions later.
Great, I'll show her to the room. Erilyn nods to my family before following me upstairs. We go down the hall and I lead her into the guest room. I gently shut the door while she inspects the room. This is where you'll be staying.
Where's the rest of it?
This is it. She looks around again.
Well, at least it's clean.
No, it's not. It's probably the closest to a compliment she can give. She steps over to the bed and delicately hops on. Thoughtful expression crosses her face as she tries out a few experimental bounces. I'll let you get some rest and we can revisit what to do in the morning. But before I go, I want to make sure you understand that while you're stuck here with me, you're Erilyn, the international student from Sweden. Got it? She frowns.
You want me to pretend to be a commoner?
If you don't like it, you can leave. I cross my arms. That's the way it needs to be if you're going to stay here with me. If you don't like it, you're free to go at any time. She looks away, shrugging.
If it can't be helped, then I will go along with the charade.
I nod. That should help make things easier. Erilyn glances expectantly at me.
That will be all then.
Right. I leave her room and return to mine, stifling a yawn. It's been a very long evening, and all I want to do right now is sleep. I rehearse how to explain Erilyn's presence, then get my things in order for school tomorrow. Afterwards, I get ready for bed. With a grateful sigh, I fall into my bed, wrapping the blankets around me, and doze off into a blissful sleep. Sharp knock at my door jerks me out of sleep. What? There's a pause before another flurry of knocks erupts. What time is it? Who's being so loud this early in the morning? I flip off my blankets and head for the door. Must be Mina. She's always waking me up. Although she doesn't normally knock and will just barge right in. At least she's finally learned how to be civilized. When I pull open the door, Erilyn stands face to face with me. Her head is held high as she looks at me, her hands on her hips.
Finally.
What are you doing? Don't you know what time it is?
Yes, it's 8 a.m., which is preposterously late.
I crane my neck and confirm with my clock. Oh, crap. I've got to get ready for school. I'm about to shut the door on her when she stops me.
Wait, I have something important to ask you.
What is it?
Where is my breakfast?
I stare at her. Seriously? This is what she woke me up for? I close the door again. The flurry of knocks returns. With a sigh, I open the door back up. What?
You might want to get your door looked at. It just closed on its own.
No, that was me closing it.
I'm sure that's not the case because that would be incredibly rude. But I'm just too famished to argue.
Okay, that's the green light to close it again. I sigh again. Looks like I can't avoid this. Just wait a few minutes for me to get dressed, then we can find food. Erilyn grudgingly agrees and allows me to close the door for privacy. I get ready in a hurry before meeting her by the stairs. Together we head downstairs and I lead her into the kitchen. Sitting on the table are a snack of Aunt Emiko's tamago sando. So this is egg something. I turn to Erilyn, pointing at the sandwiches. Breakfast is served. She side-eyes it suspiciously.
What is it?
They're egg salad sandwiches with ham and lettuce. I grab one and bite into it. The bread is soft and fluffy and pairs perfectly with a savory egg and salty ham. Try one. They're good. Erilyn doesn't move.
Maybe this is good enough for your kind of people, but it certainly isn't food fit for a princess. Don't you have a dish that's more refined?
I take a too big, exaggerated bite out of the sandwich. Erilyn wrinkles her nose. Nope. My kind of people only have this sort of unrefined food.
I don't think this will sit well with me.
Her stomach rumblings begin to beg to differ. Erilyn freezes, then resumes her haughty expression.
But I suppose I can make an exception just this once.
She reaches for a sandwich and takes a dainty nibble. Her eyes grow wide and she takes another, larger bite. How is it? She looks away from me and back down at the sandwich. For some reason, her cheeks are red.
I wouldn't normally choose it, but I don't really have a choice now, do I?
She takes another bite. This one even bigger than the last. Erilyn tries to hide how much she likes the sandwich, but it's obvious she's enjoying it. She's already finished half of it in just a few minutes. And yet you're almost done with it. Erilyn glances down at her hands and seems surprised by how much of the sandwich is left. Her blush deepens.
I was just hungry.
Uh-huh. Mina enters the kitchen just as we're finishing up. She's already dressed in her uniform and just as energetic as ever. As soon as she sees me, she skids to a stop.
Do my eyes deceive me? For once, is my cousin ready for school before I am?
I can be self-sufficient too when I want to be. Mina raises a brow.
I bet Erin woke you up this morning, didn't she?
How does she know? Mina glances over at Erilyn and frowns.
Erin, you should change into your uniform. We'll have to go soon if we don't want to be late for school.
Whoops, I forgot that I told everyone that Erilyn's an international student, which means she would theoretically be going to school with us. Erilyn's brows knit in confusion. She looks like she's ready to retort, but I can't let her blurt out something contradictory. I have to think of something fast. Actually, there was an issue with her transfer paperwork. She'll be at school later today after that's all fixed. In the meantime, she'll stay here, right, Erilyn? I stare hard at her. She meets my gaze, then nods.
Okay, do you need any help?
She's fine. We need to get going before we're late. I usher Mina towards the door.
Okay, jeez. When did you start caring so much about school?
I still feel the same way, but I know that you hate being late. I'm doing this for you.
Wow, so sweet.
The sarcasm drips off of her voice. Regardless, I get Mina out the door. Just before I leave, I turn back to Erilyn. Don't leave the house. We'll figure something out when I get back from school. She crosses her arms but nods. I catch up with Mina and we walk in silence for a bit. I don't know what to do about Erilyn. I've got to find a way to get her back to her home, wherever that is. And how did she even end up here? Couldn't really have been my wish, could it? No, I've made wishes at the shrine every year, and nothing like this has ever happened before. Has to do with that old woman. My first step is to find her and get her to explain all of this. So caught up in my thoughts, I didn't notice Mina sidle up to me until she's right next to me.
So, what's the deal with you and this homestay program?
Huh?
You never seemed interested in it before. Why did you and your dad decide to sign up for this?
Let's go with the worst one. I want to know what it's like living with a girl.
Hello? You already live with one?
I furrow my brows in confusion. I do.
Yes? Me!
Could have Mina punches me in the arm. Okay, I deserve that. The real reason is because you're my cousin.
So? I'm still a girl.
But not a romanceable one. She facepalms.
That's gonna be a big X for me. Still, it's a little strange that your parents didn't tell my parents, you know?
You know how forgetful they can be. They're traveling so much that it's hard for them to keep straight what they did and didn't discuss.
I guess. But this is kind of a big deal, don't you think?
There's no point dwelling on it now. You guys aren't upset, are you? Mina shakes her head.
Of course not. It's your home too. Honestly, I'm actually really excited to get to know Erilyn. It's gonna be really cool having another girl in the house. And you know how Mom and Dad are. They're probably happy to have another taste tester for Dad's experimental bread flavors.
Yeah, he comes up with some really strange combinations sometimes. Mina laughs.
I think the word you're looking for is creative.
I grin back at her. I'm really thankful to have such an understanding family, and I don't want to burden them any more than I already have. It's important that I find out how to send Erilyn back home. Realizing the time, Mina and I pick up the pace. There are still a lot of students milling about when we enter the courtyard. Many are chatting with their friends or finishing up any homework they didn't do. I don't spot Kosei anywhere, though. There's an equally good chance that he's either already in the classroom or even later than we are. Mina and I head up to the front steps and open the heavy door entering the school. The hallways are emptier than I expected. It's a much nicer pace than yesterday, and we soon reach the end of the hall. We arrive in class before the instructor. Kosei is already in his seat and waves us over.
Hey guys, what's with the slow start today? I had to go on ahead without you.
For once, it wasn't me who was the holdup. Mina scoffs.
I was only later than you because I wasted time looking for you. Who would have guessed you'd already be downstairs?
So you're saying that it's a bad thing I was up on time?
No, you should be able to wake up on your own.
So then you are admitting that's your fault we were late.
No, it's still your fault.
You can't have it both ways. I shoot Kosei an exasperated look. He shrugs. Miss Sato enters the classroom, quieting everyone with a greeting. She instructs us to open our textbooks and begins the morning lesson. About halfway through the lesson, the classroom door cracks open. The instructor pauses while a new student walks in. She hands Miss Sato a letter. Although she's dressed in her school uniform, I distinctly recognize that pale blonde hair. My heart drops into my stomach like a lead weight when Erilyn turns to face the room. What is she doing here?
Everyone, we have a new transfer student joining our class.
She waits for Erilyn to introduce herself. Instead, she just looks confused at the teacher.
Why don't you say a few words of introduction?
Erilyn looks like she's trying to remember something, then shrugs. Lifting her head high, she throws one hand on her hip. Oh no, this looks familiar. My eyes widen in horror. I feel as if I'm watching a car wreck about to happen with no way to stop it.
I am Princess Erilyn Dawn, Duchess of Velenor, 3rd Heiress of Veldin.
What is she wearing on her hand? The class is stunned into silence. Feeling Mina's questioning gaze on me, I slink into my seat, hoping to disappear from sight. Finally, Miss Sato laughs.
Oh, it appears we have a drama student. How very fun!
The class breaks into giggles and everyone relaxes after that comment.
Please take a seat so we can resume the lesson. There's an open one towards the back of the room.
The one with a dunce cap on it. She points to the seat beside me. Without hesitation, Erilyn crosses the room and sits down. What happened to being Erilyn, the international student from Sweden? She shrugs.
These commoner titles are all so trivial. I couldn't care to remember what it was.
Or were you just unable to remember? She scoffs.
As if that would happen.
With a sigh, I decide not to push the issue. Can't get any worse after that introduction anyway. I thought I told you to stay in the house. What are you doing here?
I tried to stay in the house. It wasn't my fault.
Before she can say more, Miss Sato clears her throat.
I'm sure we'd all like to welcome Miss Dawn, but class is in session.
We both fall silent. I count down the minutes until lunch, my mind burning with questions as Miss Sato continues the class. As soon as the lunch break begins, I pull Erilyn aside. Why are you out of the house?
As I already told you, the fault is not with me. I went back into the kitchen to get more of those
She clears her throat.
something more to eat. And your uncle saw me in there. He kept insisting that I was supposed to be in school, even though I told him otherwise. He said something about helping me with my paperwork and then walked me to the school. Do you not have automotive transportation?
Exercise is good for you. There's no need to drive when you can walk instead. Exercise is good for the body. Eating sandwiches and sitting all day is how you get fat. She narrows her eyes.
What are you implying?
This is reaching dangerous territory. Absolutely nothing. But going back to the original point.
Just getting to it. Your uncle talked to the school and they figured out my transfer and then forced me to dress up in these horrible clothes before sending me here.
At least she doesn't look like a call girl anymore. She fidgets with her outfit. Can't help but notice the way her shirt clings to her and how the few secured buttons strain to remain closed. You missed a button. You may want to do up those buttons, by the way.
They are done.
Oh, maybe you could get a larger size.
This was the biggest size they had.
It's true that Erilyn is blessed with greater assets than most. Well, it seems like you're stuck coming to school after all. Mina scoots over to us.
Erilyn, you're here. I thought you weren't coming in until later.
Erilyn looks over to me. I guess everything was sorted faster than anticipated. Mina raises a brow.
If she just had to finish up some paperwork, we could have taken her to the administrative office this morning.
I didn't think she'd be coming to school at all this morning. It doesn't matter anymore. She's here now. Mina nods, then flashes Erilyn a smile.
Next time you need help with something, you can come to me. If you wait on this guy
She jabs a thumb in my direction.
to figure things out, you'll be waiting forever, and it'll still end up being a complicated mess.
Erilyn giggles.
Yes, I can already see that.
She shoots me an unimpressed look. then stands to her feet looking back at Mina with another smile.
In that case, would you be so kind as to tell me where the restroom is?
Mina perks up.
Of course! It'll be easier if I show you. Come with me.
Thank you.
Mina grins back and the two of them head out. As I lean back in my chair and wonder about the situation, Kosei slides into the newly vacant seat.
You and that new girl were talking for a long time.
His tone is almost accusatory. I'm surprised he didn't jump in earlier, but I'm sure it's because he was too busy scoping and eavesdropping first.
A long, long time.
Don't be jelly. I smirk. Are you jealous?
Me? Jealous? Of course not. Clearly she's only talking to you because you two sit next to each other. I bet if she had sat next to me, then it would have played differently. I mean, we could resist all of this.
He slicks back his hair, wearing an impish grin. I laugh. Whatever you say, bro.
Hey,
Startled, I glance behind me and see Kira hovering nearby. Kosei's eyes widen like saucers. Hi.
Hey, Kira!
She glances at Kosei,
oh, hello.
trying to recognize her voice. Then she turns back to me.
Are you free after school today?
She sounds familiar. Yeah, I think so. What's up?
I was hoping we could meet in the courtyard to talk.
You and me. This must be a mistake, right? We don't even know each other. Why would she want to talk to me? She patiently waits for me to respond. You want us, you and me, to talk. She nods again. My curiosity has gained the best of me. I can't turn her down. Yeah, I'll be there.
Great.
As soon as she's done speaking, she leaves and exits the classroom. Kira really is a girl of few words. Kosei slumps hard into a seat.
Are you kidding me right now? Evelyn and now Kira too? She doesn't even sit next to you!
Kosei's not the only one who's noticed. I feel the eyes of my classmates on me too. The shimmer of whispers slowly begins. They must be wondering the same thing as Kosei. I never asked for this. Hey, don't blame me. This is entirely out of my control.
That just makes it worse!
He flops onto the floor.
This is it. I'm dead.
Kosei, get up, dude. You're embarrassing both of us.
Nope. Can't. Too dead. This is my life now.
I don't notice the girl's return until Mina calmly steps over Kosei.
Is Kosei having a crisis again?
It seems like it.
Why is the world so cruel? How come my best friend gets all the girls and I can't even get one?
Following Mina's lead, Erlen daintily hops over him. Being ignored a second time seems to spur something within him. His eyes widen.
Wait a minute. I, the best friend, and he's the MC?
Kosei glances over to me, then laughs.
What am I thinking? Of course not. How could I be relegated to the comic relief? No, I won't take this lying down.
There's a new fire in his eyes as he peels himself off the ground.
I, Kosei Nakahara, am the MC of this story. You hear that, world?
Just then the instructor enters the room.
Hear what, Mr. Nakahara?
Nothing.
Kosei and the rest of us take our seats. I'm glad he was able to work through whatever that was. He looks even more determined than ever. The instructor begins to write on the blackboard.
I hope you all enjoyed your break. Now we'll begin our next lesson.
Apparently we had a nice nap here. Finally, classes are finished and school is over for the day. I quickly pack up my things and get ready to head out. I'm about to tell Erlen about my meeting when Mina comes up to me.
Hey, wait up! Aren't we all walking home together?
Sorry, I've got to go meet somebody. You and Erlen can head home together.
Oh, okay. Who are you meeting?
Kira. Mina looks more surprised than necessary.
Really? How did that happen?
It's a long story. Kosei will tell you about it. I'll meet you at home. She turns to Kosei.
What's he talking about?
Kosei sighs deeply.
Don't even get me started. I've got to get to work.
While Mina goes to get Erlen, I take the opportunity to slip out and head outside. Kira waits for me in the courtyard in front of the school. She looks over and nods when I approach. I nod back and begin to feel uneasy under her stare. Maybe we should get this over with. What is it you wanted to talk about? She takes a deep breath.
At the shrine, I saw everything.
You should have joined in. So you saw Erlen on top of me. You should have joined in. We would have welcomed another helping hand.
I did see Erilyn land on you, but what doesn't make sense is where she fell from.
She's talking business only. Kira taps her chin in thought.
What I can't figure out is that weird thing I saw in the sky.
What weird thing? She shakes her head.
I don't know. It had weird shapes and seemed to glow. I've never seen it before, and then a moment later Erilyn fell.
I think back to last night. Did I notice anything in the sky? It was all so sudden. I wonder if that's the ethereal energy the old woman was talking about. She blinks.
What's ethereal energy?
I have no idea. It was something the old lady mentioned. You see her? Kira looks at me blankly. She was kind of pushy about making a wish and said something about the ethereal energy and the astral continuum alignment. She shakes her head.
None of that sounds familiar.
I think she's involved in this. That thing in the sky might be something she created, or at least something she knows about. I need to go back to the shrine to find her. Wonder if I should ask Kira to join me. She's not really a part of this mess, and I don't want to involve her more than necessary, but a part of me is relieved that she knows. Would you be willing to go with me? Kira hesitates. I'll need your help describing whatever was in the sky if we do find the old woman. Plus, since you were there last night, you might remember something I missed. After a moment, she nods. Truth be told, I'm glad for her help. It's easier to carry this secret between two people rather than just one. Let's go back to the shrine tomorrow afternoon and see if she's there.
Sure.
We exchange numbers and finalize the details. Then Kira checks the time on her phone.
I have to go now, but I'll meet you tomorrow.
Sure. We say our goodbyes and I begin the walk back home. When I walk through the door, I hear Erlen and Mina talking. I hope Erlen's not saying anything to blow her cover. Hustling, I kick off my shoes and hurry into the living room. Both girls sit on the couch. Erlen has a lock of hair in her hands, and Mina compares her own hair beside it. They glance at me as I step in.
Oh, hi, Cuz. Welcome back.
Thanks. What are you two up to?
I was just asking Erlen how she gets her hair so shiny.
The blood of the innocent.
It's from the hair mask I use.
Hair mask?
Erlen nods.
That's right. The one I use is made out of egg yolks and a few drops of lemon juice. I let it sit in my hair for exactly 20 minutes before washing it out with cool water.
Mina's eyes pop.
Huh? That actually works?
See for yourself.
Erlen smiles and runs her fingers through her hair again. Mina stares impressed. She wistfully strokes her own hair.
Do you think that would work on mine?
Absolutely. It would work on anyone's hair.
She shifts on the couch and touches one of Mina's short locks.
Your natural hair is already very healthy and pretty. If we just give it a little touch-up, we can get it to shine even more.
I've never seen Mina get so excited about this girly stuff before, but her smile turns radiant.
Aw, that sounds like so much fun. We should have a girls' night sometime so you can show me how to do it.
Erlen blinks.
A girls' night?
Yeah.
After a moment, Erlen matches Mina's grin.
That could be fun.
Eggs and hair? Erlen turns to me.
Yes, what of it?
Nothing, I just never thought the two would go together.
That's why your hair looks like it came out of garbage disposal.
Ouch, feels bad, man. Mina smiles at Erlen and tilts her head.
Do you use any other beauty products?
Oh yes, my skincare routine is essential.
Erlen counts off on her fingers.
I use a face mask at least 3 times a week. There's also cleanser, moisturizer, toner.
Mina's eyes widen.
That sounds so complicated. I had no idea there was so much to do. I just wash my face with soap.
That's important too. What kind of soap?
The same one I used to wash my body?
Erlen chokes.
What? You can't do that!
Huh? Why?
Because that's how you dry out your face! Body soap and face soap are completely different.
Horror settles over Mina's face.
It is?
Of course it is! Body soap strips your skin of healthy oils, and your face is so delicate and cute. Please change your habits now before it's too late.
Too late.
My face is cute.
Mina touches her face, looking surprised.
Very much so.
A touch of pink colors Mina's cheeks as she grins from ear to ear.
That's so nice of you, Erlen.
I'm only stating the truth. Luckily, I'm here now to teach you everything I know.
I feel a little bit like I'm intruding on a moment. Maybe I should leave you to it. Both of them glance at me as if remembering I'm still here.
Oh, we're not going to do any of that right now. We're saving it for girls' night.
Erilyn nods. Mina shifts to face me.
In fact, now that you're home, we should visit Kosei at his new job.
Why? Do you miss him? A smirk tugs in my mouth. Why? You miss him that much? Mina blinks.
What?
We were with him at school and now you want to see him again.
So what if I want to see him again? We're friends.
I don't know, Mina. I think I sense love blooming. She arches an eyebrow.
Are you sure you're not the one who's in love with him?
I'm not the one who suggested we go see him. She flushes.
I just want to see the arcade, okay? What about you, Erilyn? Do you want to visit Kosei with us?
Erilyn doesn't bat an eye.
What's a kosei?
Who? He's a guy from our class.
Are you planning on walking there?
Yeah, it's really close by.
Erilyn leans back into the couch.
No, thank you.
Mina blinks.
Oh, okay.
Seriously.
I'm exhausted.
But we only went to school.
Yes, exactly.
She gets to her feet.
I'm going to go have a little lie down. You two have fun.
She turns around and heads towards the stairs, leaving her things on the floor. Your bag?
Oh, yes. Please see to it.
She waves us off and disappears upstairs. Mina turns to me confused.
What was that about? It's like she's never had a full day of school before.
Jet lag.
Oh, that makes sense. Anyway, let's go.
We leave home and head to the arcade. As it turns out, Mina was right. It's close by. Soon we reach a large, modern-looking building. The glass doors are automatic and slide open when we approach. Once inside, we stumble to a halt. Look familiar, anyone? Whoa. The arcade is busy. I hear the whirring of games and people laughing. Screens with colorful lights blink in the background. To the side is a glass case filled with prizes. Bigger and more impressive ones line the wall behind it. A quaint cafe on the other side of the room offers an assortment of drinks and snacks.
Oh my gosh,
Mina shimmers with excitement.
this place is awesome.
Agreed. We've got to check out those games later. For now, where's Kosei? We look around for Kosei but can't find him anywhere. I spot a guy in uniform scrubbing the display case and approach him. Excuse me.
Hello. How may I help you?
We're looking for Kosei Nakahara. He was just hired recently. Is he around?
Oh, of course. 1 second.
He walks away, disappearing into the back. We wait a few minutes before seeing Kosei. A pleasant, surprised smile spreads across his face.
Oh, hey! You guys came!
Of course. We had to take a look at this place for ourselves.
I give the arcade another glance, impressed. Dude, this place is so cool. I can't believe you're actually working in an arcade.
I know! I can't believe how lucky I am. Long gone are those dull ramen shop days.
Yeah, you're really moving up in the world.
Tell me about it. I love it here.
Does that mean your first day is going well?
It's going great.
That's awesome, Kosei. I'm happy for you.
She taps her chin in thought.
Although, I'm really curious to see what you do now. Can you show us?
Kosei's face lights up.
I'd love to.
Great!
Cool. Then let's get going.
I'm expecting him to take us to one of the games. Instead, he steers us towards the cafe. Mina blinks.
Huh? Wait a second. I thought you worked with the games.
He grins.
Nah, the games are cool. But just wait and see.
Mina and I share a glance. I guess we both assumed he worked with the game machines, but technically the cafe is a part of the arcade too. We follow him into the kitchen and Mina brightens.
Oh, are you actually cooking? That's awesome!
No, not yet. But this is just as good.
Mina and I exchange another look. Just as good as cooking? Wonder what it is. We weave around cooking stations and chefs. They ignore us, too focused on their work. The different sweet and savory smells make my mouth water. Finally, Kosei comes to a halt by a nearby by a large sink. It's filled to the brim with a mountain of bubbles and colorful dishes. An elaborate dishwasher sits beside it.
Behold! Isn't it the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your whole life?
Are you talking about Mina? Who? Mina? The two of them stop and blink at me.
Huh?
What?
I chuckle. Looks like I was correct. Romance is blooming after all. It seems like your feelings might be returned, Mina. I pat her on the back. I'm happy for you. Kosei looks totally confused.
Feelings? What feelings?
Mina shoots me a glare.
Seriously? Why do you always have to make everything so weird?
She turns back to Kosei.
Sorry, but I'm still confused.
These porringers, of course!
What's a porringer?
One of these!
Kosei beams and picks up a small bowl with a handle, then dunks it into the soapy water. He starts scrubbing away, perfectly content. We wait for him to tell us this is all a joke and show us what he actually does here, but he simply continues washing. So... I hesitate.
What else do you do here?
Kosei blinks.
What do you mean?
Weren't you doing dishes before?
Yeah?
So, isn't this exactly the same thing? Kosei's eyes widen.
This isn't the same at all. Like I said, these are porringers.
Mina and I blink.
What?
Just look at these ceramic cups.
He picks up another one for emphasis.
These saucers. This carafe.
Carafe? Isn't that just a picture?
No, they're completely different.
He gathers all the dishes and adds them into the sink.
They're so cool. Way better than those dull bowls at the ramen shop.
My poor friend has finally lost his mind. Mina's face looks like it's stuck in a permanent grimace.
Is he okay?
I don't know. Maybe he's joking.
Yeah, maybe.
Kosei starts fluffing out the bubbles and lets out an excited laugh.
Guys, do you see the quality of these bubbles?
He scrubs a plate and then pulls it out of the water squeaky clean.
All the grime is gone. That's amazing. Best soap I've ever used.
Mina and I stare at him stricken.
Okay, no, he's definitely lost it.
I nod. We watch as Kosei presses a button on the dishwasher. There's a loud dinging noise followed by a kaleidoscope of flashing colors. He grins and puffs out his chest.
Did you guys see that? Now that's impressive.
What is?
The porcelain immaculation sanitizer, of course. This is some industrial grade, heavy duty machinery.
So its acronym is PIS? Mina is about to speak, but another coworker approaches Kosei carrying a pile of dishes.
Hey, sorry, man. There's more.
No worries. I'm happy to help out.
He takes the pile from him and starts washing. The man smiles.
By the way, great job so far.
That makes Kosei beam.
Thanks, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Glad to hear it. It's a pretty fun place to work. Have you checked out any of the games yet?
Oh, no, not yet. But I plan to. You have a favorite?
The two of them hit it off, chatting animatedly. The worry slowly melts from Mina's face. Her eyes soften and she smiles.
You know what? Never mind. I think I finally understand why he likes it here.
Yeah, me too. But just in case, draw me a picture. It's remarkable how he can be doing something as simple as dishes. It's great to see him being accepted so quickly by his coworkers too.
We should probably leave him to his work, though.
Yeah. I approach Kosei, tapping him on the shoulder. Hey, we're gonna get out of your hair. Congrats again on the new job.
Okay, cool. Thanks for visiting.
Mina and I leave the kitchen. I don't really want to go home yet, and I can tell Mina doesn't either. While we're here, we may as well check out some of these games. Mina brightens at the suggestion.
Good idea. After all, it would be a real shame to come all this way and not even play one game.
Agreed. We wander around the arcade looking for anything that catches our eyes. Mina seems interested in an archery game and quickly snaps up the bow. She motions for me to grab the second one. What was supposed to be just a quick game turns into many rounds. We lose track of time in the arcade, and when we finally decide to return home, it's already dark out. The walk home was smooth and uneventful. Visiting the arcade really boosted my mood. Mina is in good spirits too. Once we return home, I spot Uncle Hajime in the living room.
Oh, good, you're home.
Did it lock up? Okay, I don't know why it lagged like that. Uncle Hajime, did you close early tonight? He nods.
You sold out earlier than anticipated, so closed up shop. Your aunt is upstairs enjoying her night off.
Okay, something's wrong with his bubbles.
Good to hear business is doing well. It's more fun at the bakery when it's busy.
I hope you remember that during your shift tomorrow.
Mina freezes. I can tell she forgot we had work, but she smoothly recovers with a smile.
Of course I will.
That's my girl.
Uncle Hajime laughs, affectionately ruffling Mina's hair. I look around. Where's Erilyn?
Oh, she's upstairs in her room. She's been holed up in there since dinner. I wonder if she's feeling well.
It's just jet lag, Dad.
Ah, of course. Have you two had dinner yet? I've saved some leftovers just in case.
My stomach rumbles in response, and the two of us sit down to eat. After dinner, I help with the cleanup before going to my room. Cracking open my books, I get started on my homework. I stifle a yawn as I finish the last question, then get ready for bed. As I gratefully slip into my bed, I fall into a quick and easy sleep. This is going to be the last day I cover, assuming the demo even goes further. I wake up feeling alert and refreshed. I got to sleep in a little more than usual, and it made all the difference. After getting ready and finishing breakfast, Mina and I head to the bakery. It's a beautiful day, so the walk to work is fast and smooth. I hope my shift ends on time. I haven't forgotten that I'm meeting Kira at the shrine afterwards. Once we arrive, Mina and I throw on our aprons. Sunlight filters in through the bakery's windows, highlighting the display cases filled with sweet treats. The fresh scent of bread and sugar mingles in the air, giving the place a warm and homey feeling. Aunt Emiko finishes up a transaction with a customer before ushering us over.
I'm so glad you're both here.
She pulls Mina to the cash register.
Sweetie, can you please take over the register?
Mina nods and helps the next person in line. Aunt Emiko hands me a tray.
Here is the latest batch of bread. Can you put them out on display for me, honey?
Of course, Aunt Emiko.
Thank you, dear. If you need me, I'll be in the back with your uncle working on a catering order.
Wink wink. As she disappears in the kitchen, I set to work. The store is bustling with hungry customers all morning. The bread flies off the shelves faster than I can restock them. Eventually the rush dies down as the last customer leaves. Mina lets out a deep breath and sits at one of the tables.
Phew, it's finally slowing down.
The hell does her shirt say? Okay, love, kawaii. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that last rush was crazy. She slumps against the table looking exhausted.
I just want one moment to myself.
The bell dings above the door. I look over and see a young man enter the shop. He looks slightly older than us. Maybe he's a high school senior. Mina's eyes widen. Her back straightens upright. I stifle a laugh. I thought you said you wanted a moment to rest and do nothing. Her cheeks flush.
Shush.
The boy stuffs his hands into his pocket as he checks out the display case. Mina lets out a soft, almost dreamy sigh. Cat got your tongue? My mouth lifts into a half smile. Like what you see, Mina? She snaps out of her daydream.
What are you talking about?
Come on, you're clearly interested in that guy.
No, I'm not.
Well, okay. I give an instant shrug. In that case, I'll go take his order.
No.
Mina zips to the counter, startling the customer. She flashes him a bright smile.
Hello. Don't worry, I'm here to help you.
He shuffles in place, looking confused. Gradually, it dawns on Mina that he never asked for help in the first place. Her face goes red.
I mean, do you need help?
He flashes her an easy smile, which makes Mina flush even brighter.
I've never been to this place before. Can you tell me about your hot cross bun options?
Oh, of course.
She clears her throat.
As you can see, you have some hot buns.
The boy blinks.
What?
She sputters.
Wait, I mean, your buns are fresh. Not your buns, my buns. Wait, no, mine, like mine from the store.
Okay, her voice is really getting to me right now. Concern settles over her face.
On second thought, maybe something else. Do you have any bread rolls?
Mina nods.
Yes, role play is very important here at the bakery.
Roll play?
Yes,
Her eyes widen.
just rolls. I mean, bread rolls.
A breathless, strained laugh puffs out of him. He looks around for something else to order.
Maybe I'll just go with a slice of pie.
Of course. Do you want a cream pie?
Mina quickly catches herself and her face turns bright red.
I mean, a cream pie. Like, do you want a slice of a pie that happens to contain cream filling? Because it's called a cream pie.
He blinks then nods.
That sounds just fine.
She looks relieved.
No problem. Just 1 second, please.
Mina prepares his order and then disappears into the back. That's strange. Pastries are ready to go, so I'm not sure why she's back there. She returns a moment later to ring him up. After he pays, she hands him the bag.
Thanks.
He tries to take it from her, but Mina doesn't let it go. She seems lost in a trance, staring into his eyes. He gives the bag a little tug. She snaps out of it.
Oh, sorry. Enjoy your dessert.
He gives her another odd look, then sits at one of the tables. When he's out of earshot, Mina lets out a low groan. She deflates against the counter. When did you get so good at puns? For someone who thinks puns are lame anyway, your pun game sure is strong.
I didn't do it on purpose.
That just makes it even more impressive. Suddenly she's smirking. Wait, I'm confused. Didn't that just go really badly? And didn't her fingertip just vanish into her mouth? Why do you look so smug? Mina grins and puts her hands on her hips.
Because, dear cousin, I am smoother than you think.
I arch an eyebrow. Did we not just witness the same thing? She lifts up her chin and pins me with a confident stare.
Nope. Because when I was in the back, I wrote my number on the pie and frosting.
She looks over to see that he's already eaten half of the pie. Crumbs sprinkle onto the plate as he takes another big bite. Most of her number has already disappeared. Mina's face pinches in horror. She reaches out as if she can stop it, but it's too late. The deed has been done.
My number.
Her body slumps over with shame.
World. Why?
I laugh and pat her on the back. It's alright, Mina. Better luck next time. She groans. When the boy is done eating, he waves at us.
Thanks for the pie. It was delicious.
Mina waves back, wearing a strained smile. The ding of the door announces his exit. When she's out of sight, she hides her face in her hands, crestfallen and defeated. I pat her on the back. There. On the plus side, work is almost over. She perks up.
That's true. And my friend and I have plans tonight.
See? It's not all bad.
Yeah, you're right. Who knows? Maybe we'll run into another cute guy.
Just don't offer many more cream pies. Mia playfully shoves me, but her smile has returned to her face. Aunt Emiko pops into the store.
Hey guys, can one of you help us out back here with the dishes?
Of course. I turn to Mina and flash her a grin. Mina would love to do the dishes. Mina sputters.
What?
Aunt Emiko smiles.
Oh great! Thank you so much, sweetie.
Score! No dishes for me. Mina groans but heads into the kitchen. Aunt Emiko turns to me.
That means you're the lucky one who gets to help Hajime and me with our catering order.
Damn! I knew it was too easy. Okay, I'll be there in a minute, Aunt Emiko. She nods, disappearing into the back. I pull out my phone and text Kira, letting her know that I have to work late. My phone dings with a reply text. Kira agrees to push back our meeting time. Once I'm in the kitchen, I roll up my sleeves and get to work. There's a lot to do, but having my aunt and uncle talk to makes it go by faster. The rest of the workday goes by smoothly. When we're finally done, Mina and I hurry home. I'm running late by the time we arrive at the house. First thing I do is clean the shower. There are worse things to smell like than freshly baked bread, but I don't need to make people hungry whenever I walk past. After getting dressed, I'm ready to meet Kira at the shrine. As I pass by Erlen's room, I wonder if I should let her know I'm leaving. Her door is currently closed, but the information we hope to find directly affects her. Should I disturb her? Nope. If her door is closed, it means she doesn't want to be disturbed. I'm not going to risk upsetting her by bothering when she doesn't want to be bothered. It's probably better that she doesn't join us anyway. Grabbing my things, I head out of the house and make my way to the shrine. The walkover feels longer than usual. My breath comes in gasps as I pick up the pace. Finally, I see the familiar gates. Kira stands in front of them and greets me as I approach.
Hello.
Sorry I'm late. I hope you haven't been waiting long. She shakes her head. This is the first time I've seen her in her school uniform. I must be staring a bit too long because she breaks the silence.
Is something wrong?
Are you a model? I glance appreciatively at Kira's outfit, my gaze lingering on how those tight pants make her legs look like they go on for miles. Wow, Kira, you never told me that you were a model.
I'm not.
I take another admiring look. Are you sure? You look like you walked straight off a magazine.
I'm sure.
Her face is a blank mask. Should we head in? Kira nods. We go through the gates and enter the shrine grounds. There are a good number of people wandering about. Families crowd the main hall, wishing for blessings of health and good fortune. Many couples gaze lovingly at each other as they wish for happiness. Even more single people look wistfully around the shrine, holding amulets for love. Wonder where we should start. Do you remember where you saw the thing in the sky? Kira looks up, shielding her eyes from the sun.
It was right above where Erlen landed on you. About there.
She points to a spot in the air. I glance up at the sky. It's clear today without a cloud in sight. I don't see anything abnormal.
Neither do I. It's not like it was the other night.
Our best bet is to still find the old woman, then. I give Kira a description of what I remember. Scanning the crowd, I look for the familiar face of that mysterious old lady. The crowd of people is too thick for me to spot her. Kira takes a cursory glance around her, too. We'll never find her this way. Maybe we should ask around to see if anyone's seen her. She nods.
If we split up, we'll cover more ground.
Yeah. We agree to meet back here, and Kira disappears into the crowd. I look around again, wondering who I should approach. I don't really trust the happy people. He's first. I see a guy about my age with a big smile on his face. He's clutching an amulet and mouthing "thank you" to the sky. That looks like the face of someone whose wish was granted. I approach him. Excuse me. He turns to me.
What they say about the shrine is real. If you make an offering, your prayer may just be answered.
Wish someone would have told me that sooner. My heart does a little flip. That sounds familiar. Where did you hear that?
Oh, from someone here. And they were right. I prayed for love, and I just got a text from the cute girl I work with. It can't be a coincidence.
He heard that from someone at the shrine. That's great, but back to who told you. Was it an old woman with short gray hair?
No, I don't think so. On second thoughts, I might have read it off a plaque. But that's not important. I have a date to plan.
He rushes off before I can ask more. Well, that went nowhere. All old people know each other, right? It takes one to know one. Besides, if I were an old lady, who would my friends be? Probably other old ladies. I approach a woman who waits patiently outside of the offering hall. Excuse me. She jumps at my voice.
Oh, young man, are you lost?
Her eyes are full of concern. No, I'm actually looking for someone. Wonder if you've seen her. She's an old woman, about your height, gray hair.
Is that your grandmother? Have you been separated from your family?
Sure, let's go with that. I try to think of more details. No, she's someone who's very enthusiastic about something called ethereal energy.
What? Esther's family? Hold on.
She calls out to another elderly woman standing around the amulet booth.
Esther, this young man says you're his grandmother.
No, actually.
What, dear?
The woman cups her hands around her mouth and shouts again.
This young man says you're his grandmother.
What?
While they're distracted, I quietly slip away. That didn't go the way I expected. My best chance to find this old woman was to ask someone who also spends a lot of time at the shrine. There were a few groundskeepers sweeping the steps the night I met her. There's a few more working here today. Recognizing their uniform, I approach the nearest groundskeeper. Can't tell if he's the same one from that night or not. Excuse me, do you happen to know if there's an old woman who frequents the shrine? The man looks at me, rubbing his chin.
You're going to have to be more specific than that. The elderly are always visiting the shrine.
She has short gray hair, I try to remember what she looks like, but there isn't anything specifically identifying about her. She likes to talk about something called ethereal energy and encourages people to make wishes at the shrine. Groundskeeper frowns.
Ethereal energy. Listen, young man, I haven't got time for pranks. If you don't actually need anything, then please excuse me.
He thinks I'm making things up, not that I can blame him. Sorry for bothering you. Thank you anyway. I'll leave him be. It's clear that nobody knows who I'm talking about. Disheartened, I return to the meetup point. It struck me just how fruitless this endeavor was until I started asking around. Realistically, with no name or anything to go off of, what were the chances that we'd find this old woman anyway? I don't have to wait long before Kira returns. A sliver of hope stirs in my chest. Any leads? She shakes her head, squashing that tiny ray of hope.
You?
I shake my head too and let out a sigh as I stood on the stone bench. Asking the locals was a long shot anyway. Kira sits beside me and wordlessly hands me a bottle of water. Thanks. Where'd you get this?
Over there.
I hope you did not hear that thunderbolt. Okay, I gotta make this fast. She points to the other side of the hall where a small refreshment stand offers drinks, then holds up a second bottle for herself. That was nice of her to buy me this water. I won't ruin her kindness by insisting I pay her back. I appreciate you getting one for me.
No problem.
I take a sip. I guess now's as good a time as I need to take a break. She nods, drinking a sip of water. As I take another drink, I glance at Kira out of the corner of my eye. Her attentiveness just now surprises me. I think she knows the little things. I still don't have a very good read on her. She likes to keep to herself and remains disconnected at school, so her interest in Erlen's situation is unusual. My thoughts return to the rumors. Is she really an Igarashi? Would it be rude of me to ask? As if sensing my thoughts, Kira turns towards me, meeting my eyes. I may as well ask. I've been wondering something.
About the old woman?
No, about you, actually. She remains emotionless, turning back to her water.
What about me?
Turning back to her water. Are you related to the famous Igarashi conglomerate?
Yes.
The change is very subtle, but I notice it. There's a dullness in her eyes and a sharpness in her tone. I wouldn't have expected a family such as yours to live here in Matsukaze. I thought you'd all live in the city.
They do.
I blink. So you live here by yourself? She nods, keeping her expression carefully blank. When should I come over? Kira lives alone? That means we could spend some quality time together. Alone and uninterrupted. So, you have the place all to yourself, huh? She nods. Maybe I could come over and see it sometime. And keep you company.
It's just an apartment. There's nothing interesting to see.
Well, you might get lonely. Wouldn't you prefer to have someone stay with you and make sure all your needs are taken care of?
Thank you for the offer, but I can take care of myself.
Did she ignore my advances or did it go right over her head? I can't tell. She glances my way again.
Do you live with your parents?
I nod. But they travel for work for most of the year and are rarely home. Kira looks in front of her.
Rarely home.
Yeah, but they always check in with me, so I hear from them often. And I still have my aunt, uncle, and my cousin Mina in the house, so I don't feel lonely. She blinks.
So you're always surrounded by family?
Yep. Sometimes it can get a little annoying when I want my own space, but that's a small sacrifice to make. Can't even imagine how I would have gotten up for school back in the day if Mina wasn't around to wake me. She goes quiet.
That sounds very nice.
Her voice has a strange hollow tone to it. She fiddles with a water bottle in her hands. What about your family? What are they like? Kira remains silent, and I wonder if I've offended her. As she's about to answer, a little boy looks no more than 5 years old races towards us. His cheeks are rosy pink. As he skids to a top, he sticks a palm out in front of us.
Give me money.
Is this a mugging? I stare at the little boy. Is this a stick-up? Am I being mugged right now? My brain can't fathom the scene before me. Look, I don't want any trouble, kid. He blinks and flashes me a broad smile.
No trouble.
Good.
Just money.
He pauses as if trying to remember something, then brightens.
Please?
Kira holds out a coin.
Here.
The little boy's face lights up. I notice Kira's expression soften as he snatches the coin out of her hand.
Thank you, lady. Now I can make a wish.
Be careful what you wish for in this shrine. Just make sure you don't wish for a rich, beautiful princess to fall out of the sky. A soft chuckle escapes Kira, which she quickly hides behind her hand. She turns away, covering her face. I guess she does have a sense of humor after all. When she looks my way again, she pretends like nothing happened. For some reason, that makes me smile. The little boy wrinkles his nose.
Ew, no way! Girls have cooties.
He races off just as quickly as he arrived. I watch him pause by the offering box. He drops in the coin before clasping his hands together. So, you have cooties.
Apparently.
A small smile teases her lips before she resumes her stoic expression. She watches the child squeeze his eyes shut as he makes a wish. I'm surprised you gave him the coin.
It was a small gesture that made him really happy.
I can't help but smile. Kira does have a softer side to her, even if it's not readily apparent.
Oh, gee.
A breathless one runs after the boy. When she sees him by the offering box, she pauses, catching her breath. Spying us, she hurries over.
I'm so very sorry for Koji. Please excuse him for disturbing you.
He was no trouble at all.
You're too kind, but I know he was rude. And I apologize again for that. He's still young and too excitable.
She calls out to her son.
Koji, come here. Let me give you a coin first, and then you can make a wish.
It's okay, Mama. The lady already gave me one.
The mother turns back to Kira with wide eyes, then she bows.
Thank you so much for helping him. Please, let me repay you.
She tries to slip a coin into Kira's hands, but Kira shakes her head, refusing to accept it.
It was my pleasure to help.
Please, this is the least I can do.
The woman urges Kira to accept the coin, but she remains firm.
When I was his age, a kind stranger gave me a coin to make my first wish too. I'm grateful that I could pay it forward. and I'm sure your son will too one day.
The mother nods, her face softening into a smile as she puts the coin away.
You have a good heart. Thank you again. Please, let me know if there's any other way I could repay you.
Are you willing to take in a princess from another world? She looks back at her son, smiling. Affection makes her eyes twinkle.
Koji loves coming to the shrine. I don't quite understand it myself, but I'll keep bringing him here if it makes him happy.
Does that mean you visit often? She nods.
More often than most.
I share a glance with Kira. If this lady visits the shrine often, maybe she'll know other people who hang around here too. Do you know of an old woman who also likes to visit this shrine? She has short gray hair and likes to encourage people to make wishes. She pauses, thinking.
Oh, maybe you're thinking of Miss Tanaka.
Kira and I share a glance. Mrs. Tanaka.
Yes, I've seen her at the shrine pretty often. She reminds Koji to make a wish whenever she sees him. She always says it's the perfect opportunity for it.
My pulse quickens. Could this be the woman we've been searching for? Do you know if she was at the shrine last Thursday?
She may have been. I think she's normally here on Mondays and Thursdays, but I'm not too certain of her schedule.
She was here last Thursday. It must be her. That could be her. Thank you so much. She smiles.
I'm happy to help.
Mama, I'm done.
Koji waves at his mother.
Koji, don't move.
The woman thanks us again before hurrying after her son. I faintly hear her scolding him as she scoops him into her arms. Hope makes my body feel light. Excitement bubbles within me as I turn to Kira. Mrs. Tanaka sounds like our best lead. She nods.
It sounds like she won't be back until Monday, though.
Yeah. Would you want to come back here with me on Monday?
Sure.
Great. We can head here after school. Kira nods again.
Now that we have a lead, I'm going to head out. It's getting late and there are a few things I need to do.
Squinting, I glance at the setting sun. Orange and yellow blazes in the sky. I hadn't realized it got so late. Thanks again for coming with me today.
I'm glad we were able to make some progress.
Me too. We make our way out of the shrine together. When we reach the gate, we say our goodbyes and go our separate ways. My mind is racing with thoughts of Mrs. Tanaka as I walk all the way home. When I arrive home, I see Erilyn waiting for me in the living room. As soon as she spots me, she jumps to her feet and rushes to my side.
Finally, you're home!
I'm taken aback by her sudden appearance. Personal space, please. I step back away from her. Whoa, personal space. Don't step in my bubble. She waves her hand around.
How can you worry about bubbles when I have been starving? There's no food.
What do you mean there's no food?
I mean, I checked the kitchen and there was no food.
That can't be possible. Aunt Emiko keeps the kitchen stocked. Did they bring everything to the bakery? Let's go take a look. I head into the kitchen. Erilyn follows at my heels. First thing I notice is the bread on the counter. Opening the fridge, I spot the usual staples of meat and vegetables. There's plenty of food here. Erilyn points to the kitchen table.
No, it's empty.
I point at everything in the kitchen. Then what's all this?
They're ingredients to make food, not food.
Then put those ingredients to use. She looks as if it suggested she eat her arm. There's bread, ham, and cheese. You could have easily made yourself a sandwich. Erilyn stares blankly.
Make a sandwich?
Yes. She continues to stare at me. Considering her reaction to the sandwich we ate the other morning, I have a strong feeling I know the answer to the question I'm about to ask. Have you ever made a sandwich before?
Of course not.
It's easy. All you do is grab the bread, make sure that you add any condiments to it, grab your filling, layer them on top.
Hold on.
What?
I'm hearing a whole lot of words coming from you. I don't understand how any of that will cure me of my famine.
I sigh, biting back my frustration. If you would listen, then you'd know. She sighs and puts a hand on her hip. Finally. Like I was saying, all you need to do is put the condiments and filling between two slices of bread. That's it. Erilyn blinks slowly, her expression remaining flat. You're going to learn today. I don't care if she really doesn't understand what I just said or if she's just pretending. She's going to have to make a sandwich herself. No, you don't want to? I shrug. I guess you aren't that hungry after all. Her eyes widen.
I haven't eaten all day.
Well, I just told you how to make a sandwich. You should try making one. I cross my arms, remaining firm in my choice. She looks away and flicks her hair in response.
Yes, well, it sounds easy enough. If the simple common folk can do it, then I certainly can as well.
Great. She looks awkwardly at the ingredients. Maybe she really does need more help than that. You know what? All of this talk of sandwiches is making me hungry too. I think I'll make one for myself.
Just as long as it doesn't interfere with my royal sandwich.
She watches me closely as I grab the first slice of bread and put it in my plate. Then she mirrors my movements. Erilyn continues to sneak glances my way. I pretend as if I don't notice, but slow down so she can follow how I build my sandwich. As she starts to get the hang of things, I see a smile grow on her face. She watches me spread mayo on one slice of bread and looks curiously at the condiment. Dipping some on a spoon, she tastes it and her face lights up. After adding the last slice of bread, she beams proudly at her creation.
See, it was simple, just as I expected. And look how magnificent it is.
She glances over at my sandwich.
Yours looks acceptable, but doesn't even compare to the sheer perfection that is mine.
Looks is just one part of it. The taste is more important. Erilyn's smile becomes smug.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I know that mine will taste fantastic.
Oh yeah?
I made sure of it by adding a secret ingredient.
What ingredient?
Mayonnaise.
I blink. That's not a secret. I added mayo too.
Yes, but only on one slice of bread. I added 2 layers of mayo on both slices of bread. If having just a little mayo makes it delicious, then having extra mayo will make it extra delicious.
I don't think that's how it works. She flips her hair, her smug smile still in place.
I wouldn't expect a mere peasant like you to understand.
Full of confidence, she holds her sandwich and takes a big bite. Immediately, she freezes. Her eyes grow wide and her smile drops. With great difficulty, she swallows the mouthful.
It's delicious.
She forces down another bite. What's delicious is karma. Erilyn grimaces at the thought of taking another bite but forces herself to do it anyway. Her face pales as she swallows. After choking down about half of the sandwich, she puts it back on the plate.
That was more filling than I anticipated. I am already full.
Choices have consequences. I watch with amusement. There's no way she's full, but if she's going to pretend that she is, I won't stop her. That's good. I wouldn't want you to stop eating because the sandwich is bad. She forces a laugh.
As if that could be the case. Now, it's important to remain well hydrated, so I'm going to have a glass of water.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with the sandwich.
No, it has to do with hydration.
She pours herself a glass of water and downs it. Once we're finished eating, Erilyn stretches into a wide yawn.
Oh my, well, I'm going to go and rest. I've had such a long day.
A long day of what?
I'm nearly starving to death. Trying to just survive takes so much energy.
Every day seems to be a long day for you. She glares at me, putting her hands on her hips.
It's not by choice, I assure you.
I smile in response. If you're ever stuck in a similar situation, at least now you know how to make a sandwich. Her face melts into a proud smile.
Yes, all in a day's work.
She turns to leave. Your plate. Pausing, she briefly glances at it, then flicks her wrist in dismissal.
Oh, yes, I'm done. You can take it away. Good night.
She gracefully exits the room. My gaze goes flat. Next time I'll have to teach her how to do the dishes. I clear the plates and clean up the kitchen before going upstairs. Mina is still out with her friends, and Aunt Emiko and Uncle Hajime are closing up the bakery. Taking advantage of the quiet, I get started on my homework. I work until I lose focus, and then I browse the internet for a bit. When my eyes struggle to stay open, I get ready for bed. Before long, I am fast asleep. Okay, as mentioned, this is where I'm going to stop regardless of if the demo keeps going or not. So, a couple things to talk about. I'm just going to move forward until we see one of the characters because I want to point out one of my criticisms of this game. If you don't see what they're saying, you're going to have to pause it. I'm waiting for someone to pop up. Perfect.
Man, aren't you glad it's the weekend? I have the day off, so I thought I'd swing by.
So I kind of let this slide in Crystalline because it was new and then they were getting used to the technology and everything, but if you've largely noticed, the characters largely just have their hands hang at their sides. That is not a natural pose by any stretch of the imagination, and it's really an amateur art mistake. Like, one of the first things you will read in art books is about various poses, and that one is like 101 type stuff. Like, if they want to make it look more natural, give him something to hold. Give him like a backpack, a satchel, or something. That way you can rest one hand on that and it looks a little bit more natural. He could put his hands in his pockets. This is one of the things that doesn't really satisfy me, going from Crystalline to this. So next criticism is, like, the characters are getting younger for sure, and this setting just isn't really that great. I mean, it's a high school one, like millions of other visual novels. It doesn't really do much to set itself apart. Overall, I'm just kind of underwhelmed by this. I don't know if it's just my imagination or what. I don't really care for Minami's voice either. That I can see very easily becoming annoying in the long term. And just the whole premise of this feels like their weakest game by far. I don't know if they were making something for the sake of making it, or if they have something planned later on that's going to kind of redeem the thing. But yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I mean, if you're interested, by all means, go back it. I'll try to remember to put a link to the Kickstarter in the description if you want to check it out. It's very possible that they're going to update the demo as they go, and some of these things may be adjusted somewhat. But, yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, I was thinking about starting two comment threads down below. One for Kira and the other one for... crud, what's the princess's name? Erilyn. Yes, I saw it a little while ago, but I couldn't remember. And basically, whichever one gets the most hits down there, either thumbs up, replies, what have you, that's the romance route I will go for early access. I'm still going to back it, I think, just because Ace Academy and Crystalline were above average, I'd say. I did like Ace Academy more than Crystalline, and yeah, this one seems just like further regression. But yeah, I'm going to at least give it a shot. Hopefully something better pops up later on, and depending on how this goes, that'll determine whether or not I back future endeavors. But otherwise, this is the demo for you guys. You have my thoughts, and if you guys have anything to chime in, by all means do so, because I know a lot of people like the pixel fade stuff. It's just, I'm hoping this gets more polished than it has right now. But yeah, calling it quits here. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.